The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are back with another match preview. This time we take our attentions towards the EFL Cup semi-final first leg against Arsenal. I'm Scott, I'm your host for this one, and this week I'm joined by Daryl and Andy. Boys, it's getting important now. These are the important games, the business end of the competition. Let's jump into this one. It's Tuesday, the 7th of January. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff at Emirates. And it's on about 17 different channels. We've got a choice. It's on Sky. You've got main event and Sky Sports Football. And I think it's on the 4K channel as well. It's also on ITV and STV. And it's on ITVX. And it'll be on Sky Sports Go and all that sort of stuff. And Sky Sports Plus. So if you don't watch this one, you've got no excuse. And I think it's on about 15 bars in town, according to NUFC.com as well. So it'll be shown everywhere. So get out there and go and watch it if you haven't got a ticket, or you didn't win the ballot like everyone else didn't, or if you didn't get enough loyalty points. Arsenal only played 3 games to get to this point of the competition because they got that crazy bye for being in Europe, which isn't very fair, but there we go. We played 4. Not many commentator stats for this one because it is the Cup, but here we go. This doesn't make for good reading. Arsenal are yet to lose a single home game in any competition this season and have progressed to the EFL Cup final from 2 of the last 3 EFL Cup semi-finals. The last loss came in their most recent semi-final. That was against Liverpool back in the 2021-22 season. Newcastle haven't won at the Emirates since 2010. Where a half-time strike on the stroke of half-time strike from Andy Carroll was enough to seal the victory in a game that also saw Lauren Koscielny get sent off in the dying embers of the game. Who sends off a player on the 90 plus 2 minutes there? Arsenal have won the EFL Cup twice. That was in 1987 and 1993. And they actually hold the record for the most amount of runner-up medals received in the competition with 6. Newcastle, we all know, never won the competition, but we have come runners-up twice. That's in 1976, and we all remember the most recent 2023 trip down to Wembley. That's all I've really got for commentator stats. There isn't much because it's the Cup. There's not much going around because you rarely play the same teams in these competitions. But we have got a lot to talk about. Daryl, Andy, we've got 2 very important players suspended for this game. I think we should jump straight into that conversation first and foremost. Bruno and Shaw. We'll touch on Shaw first because I think that's going to be the big one because we saw Botman come in, but the fact he's just coming at the weekend, which was a surprise to a lot of people, but the fact he's just coming back off an injury, I'll come to you for this one first, Andy. Do you expect him to start again in such a quick time, or do you think the fact he came off with cramp, do you expect him to get a little bit of a rest for this game, or would you hope he would be playing?
Yeah, it's so hard to read how, because I think we were all worried when Botman was named on the team sheet against Spurs that we maybe rushed him back because we've done that before in the past. It was sort of the story of last season, wasn't it, where we were so desperate to get players back that they were then getting re-injured. But I think Eddie Howe said after the game that he'd been in first team training for 6 weeks or something. So yeah. I think there's no doubt that he's definitely up to speed. It's just getting that match sharpness back up with him. Yeah. I think Howe will like to play him there because we've got this weird situation where all of our centre-halves are left-footed apart from Shah and Lascelles. So it might be one of these games where we would have liked to have Emil Kraft in the team because he could just slot in as a right-sided centre-half and he can do a decent job. But I think Botman's quite good with both feet. He can manoeuvre the ball a bit better than Byrne. I think he's a bit more comfortable defensively. I think he got caught a bit for Spurs' goal when Solanke got behind him, but that was just an unbelievable cross, I think. I don't think you could have really done much about that. And, you know, on a really basic point, he is our best centre-half as well. So I think Howe knows how important it is to get a cup win. Even just to get another final is an amazing result, because we will probably break that record of 6 runner-up medals, the way things are going. But I'd expect him to start Botman. He's our best centre-half. As far as we know, he's fit. I think he'll want to keep that consistency of the team with us doing so well.
Yeah, it's interesting, Daryl, isn't it? Because we all know about what happened last year, but we've also brought in what's it called, Bunce, who is the fitness guru, or the fitness liaison, or whatever he is, whatever he's brought in to be done.
Stephen Bunting, the dad's player.
Yeah, Stephen Bunting, the dad's player. So we're kind of, when players have come back, we kind of trust that they're ready now, and that they're not just being rushed back. That's behind where you'd like to think, but it's the fact that he went off with cramp, and you'd like to think it is just cramp. And that's all it was. We're obviously recording this before any press conferences happening, so we don't know. But you'd like to think that's all it was. Yeah, when he came on, he was a bit rusty. I think, there wasn't much he could do against the goal. But you saw from it was the first 20 minutes of the game at the weekend, he was just finding his feet a little bit. And maybe that was the perfect game to bring him back in preparation.
Playing against a ridiculously attacking team as well. It's exactly in the fire, isn't it? To only concede one, and we won the game. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. I mean, he did look really rusty at the start, and you could see it straight off the bat. And, you know, it's sort. I suppose in a way the goal was a good thing to happen to him, because it just made him probably reassess that. Oh, actually, this is how I remember it. And then he had a couple of good clearances after that, and he really brought himself back into the game. And, you know, he was fairly solid, cutting a few things out. And also in an attacking sense as well, we saw his distribution down that right-hand side into the channel from Miff. We saw that a good couple of times. And like Andy said, totally agrees. He's predominantly left-footed, but he's that good on his right that he can sit on the right-hand side of that defence when there's no Fabian Schär or Jamal Lascelles available. And again, he is our best centre-back, so he needs to be playing. And
one thing I don't want to forget Daryl, one thing I don't want to miss as well is Arsenal. Obviously, they are just a set-piece side as well.
Yeah,
so
you need him there.
He's much better in the air than Schär as well.
Yeah, he's got that height presence as well. The two big lads at the back. I mean, you'd think it would take something really clever from Arsenal to get a ball into the box to beat them too. And, you know, you mentioned the other problem in midfield that we're going to have, that Rolls Royce of an engine is going to be missing a key part of it now. And for me, I think it's, you know, trying to think who's going to come into this, and I'd really struggle. I mean, he could go protective and put Sean Longstaff in there and give Sean Longstaff the game, or he could potentially pose a threat and put Joe Willock in there and have him available to run that Arsenal team, which is probably what we're going to need, because we're going to need to be quick in the transition, and we're going to need to be quick in attack. But again, you know, you've got Tonali in there who can play the quick pass, and effectively his passing alone could negate the need to have somebody who can carry the ball. But it's going to be an interesting selection headache for Eddie Howe, and I'm glad I don't have it.
Yeah, it will be bad with Bruno being suspended, Andy. Obviously, everyone always reverts back to thinking, oh, well, it'll be Longstaff who comes in because we need the protection. But actually, Tonali's that protector, and you'd think that Longstaff is the replacement for Tonali whenever Tonali is suspended or, you know, God forbid, injured or is not unavailable. And it's almost like you need the engine. So you need someone like Joe Willock or even Lewis Miley to come in to replace Bruno. And that would be the way it goes. Or you switch up with Joe Linton, move him out on the wing, put Gordon on the right, and then have two new centre midfielders with Tonali. I don't think you replace where Tonali plays, because he has just owned that position since being put into that number 6 role. I don't think there's anyone better than him in the league at the moment playing in that position.
No, and I think the frustrating thing with Bruno not being available is that the balance of the midfield looks so good for the first time in a long time. It's been the question since Eddie Howe's probably came into into the job. Is how do you do the midfield? You've obviously got the absolute physical colossus of Joe Linton, the amazing technician of Bruno, and Tonali who's kind of somewhere in the middle as being an amazing technician and can do the hard yards. Not that Bruno doesn't, but Bruno, as we know, is the slowest man to ever walk the face of the earth. So Tonali's obviously got that bit of pace as well. So I think you're right. It's probably an easier change to make now. We kind of know how that midfield balance needs to be. Our best technician of those players you mentioned is probably Miley, which is a bit weird. Whether he's ready or not, I mean, we don't really know. The lad's put a few pounds on, and he's got that new tattoo, which I think divides opinion as well, since we last saw him. But it'd be interesting to see how he does it. I think it could be one of the situations where we see Joe Linton as like a wing back, if we know that we're going to be under the cosh for a lot of the game. We know Arsenal like to go direct, so you might want to put Joe Linton further back in the back line, because then you've got three absolute tanks to deal with: Gabriel, Saliba, whoever else they decide to chuck the ball up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, away from home, you think maybe Willock's a better shout, because if you're going to be under the cosh, you need that outlet, and you don't want to just have Isak doing all of that. And I think maybe the Spurs game maybe shows some of his thinking, because he did stick Willock on as a striker for the last 10 minutes as a pure outlet, and we could maybe see a similar role for him. But I think as a fan base now, we all are fully 100% behind how, if there was any chinks in the armour, I think we know whatever he decides to do, he's thought about it long and hard, and we know that it'll be a tough one for him, but I think he'll get it right, whoever he decides to go with.
Absolutely. We'll talk a little bit about Arsenal, Daryl. Obviously, you know, they're flying high in the league. They're second. Are they second? Yeah, they are second. I didn't even look because it's a cup. I didn't even bother to find out where they were in the league, but they're definitely second. Or is
it's just
Chelsea
Liverpool and
second?
everyone else, isn't it?
I can't even remember now. No, they're definitely second. But you know, they've got a few injuries themselves. You know, the big one is Bukayo Saka, and I think the youngster that they brought in at the weekend to kind of fill his boots has also picked up a little injury. I can't remember his name.
Nwaneri,
that was his name. Yeah. So they may have a problem down that right hand side. Saying that, it's Arsenal, they've got quite a big squad. They shouldn't really have a problem on that side. There were a few players rested at the weekend, which is unlike Arteta, because normally you'd expect the resting to be happening in the cup. I think Arsenal want just a trophy. I think they are long overdue a trophy in their own eyes, and I think they'll take whichever one it is. It doesn't really matter at this stage. Which,
I know, bless them. It's been a couple of years.
It has been a couple of years, hasn't it? How dare they? How dare they not?
Pull your finger out, Arsenal, man.
I know, blame me. But are you expecting a strong side, Daryl, from Arsenal, or do you think there'll be a few players rested?
I think
for this one?
I think we'll have to be a bit respectful to Arsenal, no matter what side that Arteta decides to name. You know, it's going to be a side full of quality players, so they are going to pose a massive challenge for us going into the game. And you know, we only have to look at certainly Prince Mikel, who could be playing in midfield. We know all about him. And you know, they've got Declan Rice in there as well. You know, it's a team full of quality. Even when some of its key components are out injured or rested or whatever. I was actually quite surprised looking at the performance yesterday against Brighton that they hiccuped a little bit and only got a draw down at the Amex. I'm sure they would have been expecting to go down there and pick up 3 points no matter what side he put out. So I think in a way it shows that there is a little bit of weakness in there. They do have a couple of chinks in the armour that can be exploited, and I think as big a task as it's going to be, because of the momentum we have from the run of form that we're currently in, then there's every possibility. I'm not going to say we're going to do it, but I think there's every possibility that we can certainly get a positive result out of the game. There's no reason to suggest otherwise. As much as we're going to be missing two key components of our team, it's, you know, they've got some players in form, we've got players in form, so it's going to make for a really, really entertaining game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the big areas that we have to be careful with, Andy, and some of that Arsenal have been quite renowned for, not just this season, but I think also last season, is their set pieces. You touched on it a little bit when we were talking about Botman coming in, but we've got to be on it. We've got to be really kind of almost, well, you've got to be on it, trying not to concede the set piece in the first place, I think is the first thing you've got to be doing, and not giving away silly free kicks, which we're quite prone to do, especially later on in the game. But then also you've got to think of corners as well, because they seem to score for fun when it comes to just any set piece. They've got, I don't know who it is, their set piece maestro behind the scenes, but they seem to just pull something out of the books whenever they need to and get that goal when it's needed.
Yeah, the set piece thing's quite funny because there seems to be a real emphasis on set piece coaches in the last season or two. And it's a bit of a running joke where it's like the set piece coach celebrating when they basically swing it into a big lad who heads it in. It's like, it's not rocket science really, is it? But
haven't they got a mural or something of him? Isn't he spray painted on a wall somewhere? Was that Liverpool? I can't remember. There was some spray painted mural.
Maybe, but Liverpool got a throw-in coach, didn't they? And everyone lost. Well, Roy Keane lost his mind, even though it's like elite football. Why wouldn't you have a coach for everything? But yeah, with Arsenal, I mean, no disrespect to them, but they've really been struggling from open play, I think. Yeah. Every time I've watched them, and it's quite a lot because they're always on bloody telly, it's always bloody Alan Smith, who will probably be on commentary for this game as well, and will be as unbiased as ever. But Saka does an amazing job. You're on about winning corners. He wins so many corners for Arsenal. He's probably the best 1v1 winger in world football, potentially. Maybe, well, Vinicius, but in the Premier League, definitely. In terms of running at the full back, he wins so many corners, and then they just do all these weird and wonderful things where we saw it against Brighton, where they have the 4 big lads out like miles away, and they all sort of run in like an army formation across the defence, and then someone else brings the fullback out, so they're all on side. So they do all this weird stuff. But I don't think it's something we can't handle. I think we showed in the Brentford home fixture that we can deal with teams that do the really physical stuff on corners. I think we've just got to not let them manhandle our players. And I think we've seen a few teams cotton onto that now. I mean, there's a few ones where they've clearly fouled the Arsenal players but got away with it, where they've like pushed Gabriel into the side net and stuff like that. But it does the job. And I think that's what we're going to have to do against them. We've got to be so careful. Saka missing's huge for them. He's the corner taker, and I think it'll probably be Declan Rice if Saka's missing. He takes all the sort of the wide free kicks and things like that. We just got to be wise to it. Not got to concede stupid things. We've got to manage the game really well. We've also got to not lose our heads if we go 1-0 down, because it's a 2-leg game, and we've shown quite a few occasions we can beat Arsenal at home. So we've just got to keep our heads and just defend solidly. And it'll be interesting. I don't know if you were going to mention the goalkeeper as well. Be a really tough test for Dubravka as well, if he's still here. Or if Isak's still here, because like you said beforehand, he's apparently going to every club in Europe. So be a big test for all of them. And I think Hall will just be glad that Saka's not around, because he had obviously a bit of a not a stinker, but a really difficult game against Liverpool, against Salah, and then to have Saka in short succession, that would have been quite a lot for him. So he'll probably be grateful when it's Sterling or someone instead.
Yeah, well, luckily Isak will be cup tied, so he won't be playing on Tuesday. No, we jest. But if Paul Merson has his way, he would be. But yeah, interesting. You mentioned Dubravka. Obviously, Daryl, there's rumours going around that he's off to Saudi. We've asked for at least to keep him until after the Arsenal game, which has been agreed. That's all the rumours. We're not claiming to know anything. There's no ITKs going on here, but that's it. But when it comes to the corners and the set pieces, you'd probably want Dubravka in goal, because although we love Nick Pope for his shot-stopping ability, he's not one who's going to come out and claim a ball from a corner. He'll be more of a punch, or he'll stick to his line and not come out.
His punching stresses me out.
And yeah, we all know what...
He's not even good at punching it. It always just slips off his hand.
Exactly.
It's so annoying.
So Dubravka's the keeper you want, really, out of the choice. Well, maybe Vlachodimos is good at it. We don't know. We've never seen him play, other than for Greece when he played against England those 2 times. But it would be a shame if this is Dubravka's last game, because he's kind of reaffirmed people's opinions, or realigned people's opinions even of him as a good goalkeeper. Because I think maybe when he went to Man U, he didn't do himself any favours. Not in the fact that he left, just in some of the posts that maybe were put on social media. And then coming back, he maybe hasn't, well, towards the end of last season, didn't have the best of games.
Well, also kept claiming the number 1 shirt at the start of every season as well. And it was like, let it go, mate. But... yeah,
there is that. Well, I think Nick Pope likes the number 22. I think even if Dubravka wasn't here, he would still be 22. So I don't think that's anything really to go off. But would, if we only have Dubravka for one of these games, you'd like to think the one at the Emirates is the game that we really would want him at. But hopefully we have him for the 2 if he is sticking around, or if Pope's back fit and he's back fighting and he's the better keeper. I think arguably they both have their strengths and weaknesses. We can use both of them.
Yeah, we can only guess in the circumstances of why he has to. I mean, we all know that PSR world and all that will be the reason if he goes, it'll be why he's going. It's a weird one, like, because obviously Nick Pope is like taller in stature and all that, and yet Dubravka's the better one at coming out and claiming a corner with his hands rather than punching it. He will punch it if he needs to, but he is more likely to try and collect the ball with his hands. Sort of a couple of times in the game on Saturday down at Tottenham. And his distribution as well. I mean, I know Nick Pope's got a decent throw on him. In fact, Nick Pope's throw is better than his kicking for sure. But we've seen that Dubravka has some good distribution with feet, and also he can throw it a decent distance as well.
He's been really good at
he's just calmer with his
clipping
feet
it to the fullback.
Yeah,
it's been amazing to get her out of a press just to clip it to Lewis Hall.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you think. You only have to go back a little while to remember when we used to have Shea Given and Steve Harper as the 1 and 2, and it used to be a case of we always felt sorry for Steve because Shea was always picked as number 1, and yet they were both exceptionally good goalkeepers, probably on equal footing really, because Harper we obviously never saw as much of Harper as we did at Given, but they were very much equal matched in terms of what they could bring to the team. And I think there's a slight difference now between Dubravka and Pope, but we also now remember how good Dubravka was and how much we needed him when he first came to the club. I mean, I remember when we signed him, it was like, do we really need a goalkeeper? And then obviously within about 2 or 3 games, that debut against Man United, you thought, actually, yeah, we do. And it was perfectly good reason as to why he was brought in. And I would be very sad to see him go because I know he had that little bit of a spell you just mentioned when he disappeared off to Man United for what you can only describe as a failure of a loan spell. But he's been a tremendous servant to the club in the moments lead up to that point, and obviously since as well. I think I'd be gutted to lose him, because I like having 2 strong goalkeepers in the team.
Well, we've got 3 international goalkeepers on our books, haven't we? Which is pretty
true.
First choice goalkeepers. And the thing just to mention on keepers as well is that I do think Pope, his standard has dropped since his injury. He just doesn't seem as assured, as quick getting down. That was his big thing. Was obviously he was just such a beast. He was like a Peter Schmeichel-esque keeper in terms of his shot stopping. I just don't think he's really the same anymore. Maybe I'm just misremembering, or maybe I just thought Pope was better than he was when he got injured, and I remembered him being this like superhuman. But I agree. I think it will be sad to see him go. He obviously did throw a bit of a paddy when he went to Man United, but he's been a good servant. He's been a great keeper, and he's had a few little wobbles. I mean, a few of my mates call him Ant-Man because he had a period where he couldn't save a ball, and it was like he wasn't there. And he did leave. My mate Nathaniel did comment at the Spurs game saying, "Wow, he's actually not a ghost," because he made quite a few good saves against Spurs. So it's like you say, I think people are warm to him again. So it would be sad to see him go. But obviously, if it's just a big PSR exercise, then fine.
I think keepers are only as good as their last game, and I think that's what people. The problem with goalkeepers is they're the hero 1 minute and the villain the next. Mark Dubravka's
so much,
been both, and he'll be both again. If he plays against Arsenal and has a howler, he'll be the villain, and he'll leave the villain if he does leave, or if he saves 3 penalties or whatever, he'll leave a hero.
Well, I think we've had with a lot of keepers, haven't we? Like Tim Krul and Daryl were like that as well, where they were awful for a bit, and then like Tim Krul, Chris Packet hands, and then all of a sudden he pulls out that performance against Spurs where he's like Spider-Man.
We'll move on to Ref Watch, Daryl. We do have VAR, and there's something very special happening with VAR, which I'll let you go over as well. But let us know who is the man in the middle and VAR for this one as well.
Cool. So, man in the middle for this one's going to be Craig Pawson from South Yorkshire. It's going to be his 4th Newcastle game of the season after the opening day win against Southampton at St James's, the 0-0 draw at Goodison Park, and then the 2-0 home defeat to West Ham. In the games prior to the West Ham game, they'd actually not been defeated in the previous 4. So the West Ham one was the first defeat we'd had for a little while with Craig Pawson in charge. His record for this season, he's done 12 Premier League games, issuing 54 yellows and 2 reds. The VAR for this one is John Brooks, and there's a link with him because he was the referee for the home win against Arsenal in the Premier League back in, was it November? So we've had him for this fixture before. And as you mentioned, there is a special note to mention for the VAR and for the referee in this game. They're going to use both semi-finals and both legs of both semi-finals, I should add, as a trial for the referee announcing decisions in the stadium. Now, it's not going to be for every single decision that's made. But
that would be funny, wouldn't it?
It would be funny.
Throw in Arsenal, hit the Newcastle player last.
Non-stop.
Imagine. And then you'd have to mute his referee because the players would be swearing or something stupid like that. But yeah, so I've got the quotes here from the PGMOL, and it's going to be announcements made by referees upon the conclusion of factual matters. So that's like accidental handballs, which we've seen a couple in the last couple of games, by a goal scorer, or offside offences where the attacker touches the ball. And then also, if they have to go to the monitor for any reason whatsoever to assess a decision and communicate with VAR at Stockley Park, once that decision has been concluded, then the referee will then announce to the stadium what decision has been made and why. So it's not necessarily going to be for every single decision, but it's going to be for all your main ones, all of your offsides and all of your...
Anything that takes time, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So any
offside,
any
I bet Mike Dean wishes he could come back with all this drama and all this attention.
He'll just be sat in the Sky studio just with his Christmas jumper on, just mulling over everything.
Hope to fix the people at St James's Park by February.
Oh, God, imagine.
It's awful.
It'll be broken again by the time we get to that point, I tell you.
Be like the Daleks announcing the decision, won't it?
But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how this trial runs. Apparently, the aim of this trial is to humanise decision making and also show respect to match-going fans like they do in cricket and rugby. So we're finally getting treated on a bit more of an even playing field to other sports. But I think, as far as I'm concerned, it's a positive move, and it's something we needed to get, really, because we've all been in a stadium where you think, what the hell's going on, and you see, like 30 seconds later, the ball decision, and then it's already clear because the referee's already played the game on, and we're already on the way down to moving on in the game. So it's an important trial, and I don't see why it won't go well. I suppose the only thing, because it's brand new, well, it's not necessarily brand new to them, but because it's been trialed for the first time, that's probably to try and iron out a few of the hiccups or whatever that they might see as a result. But again, it's an important trial, and it's a necessary one as well, because we just don't want to be sat there in the stadium thinking what's going on anymore. It's high time we moved on.
Giving it a go, isn't it? Like,
absolutely.
Raises at an all-time low. You've got to give them an opportunity.
Yeah, it's about time we caught up with other sports, for sure. So yeah,
let's hope he remembers to do it.
Yeah,
let's hope they remember to do it. Yeah, well, let's move on to our predictions. Daryl, mate, we'll stick with you. What are you going to go for this one?
I am going fully with my heart here, and I want to come away with at least a draw. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, and then we'll bring them back to St James's and do the job properly.
Nice.
Isaac to score.
Oh, he's going to take Shearer's record, is he?
He's going to take Shearer's record.
Is he scoring for Arsenal or for Newcastle?
who's he playing for? Oh, he's cup tied if he's an Arsenal player, so he can't. Yeah. Go on then, Andy, what are you going for?
Yeah, I think similar. I was just looking before at the team they put out in the last round, and they did rest. They rested Havertz, Gabriel, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, Saliba. So I just don't know what to expect from Arsenal. The FA Cup's always been their thing rather than the League Cup.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be as weak as that
6
team.
times.
Yeah. I think if they go full strength, I think it'll be a really tough game. Like you said, our record at their place is abysmal. But if we can come away with a 1-0 defeat, it sounds so negative that, but I think that's actually a really positive result. To go to St James's Park on a -1, we've been starting games so quickly. But I agree. I think 1-1. I think we're going to start the game really well, like we have done the past month or so. Get an early goal, then I think it'll be batten down the hatches, and they'll find a way to get a little crap goal, but it'll be too late in the game. That's my prediction. I don't think it's going to be a rout or anything. I think we're too smart for that now. Just got to take a positive result and a positive mindset into the second leg, which I think is miles away, isn't it? From
February 4th or 5th or something.
Yeah.
Which is daft because the FA Cup's in between it as well. We've got that next. I would happily take a 1-1. Absolutely, and that would have been my prediction, but the fact you two have also gone for that, I'm not going to go for three draws. I'll say a 2-1 win. But I'm going to preface that with saying I would have predicted 1-1 had you two not have done that. But yeah, I'll say we'll grab another one. We'll grab a late winner, but it'll be 1-1 for the majority of the game. And I mean, how can you not back Isak to score at the minute? He's on fire. Isak and Gordon for a 1-2 combo punch. We'll put that horrible. When was it? 2010. We'll put that horrible stat to rest for not winning at the Emirates for what's it? 15
Forever.
Years? Yeah, forever. That's too long to not win down there.
In my house, my family, we've got Newcastle, Ipswich and Liverpool fans. And last week was the first time where all of us were happy because Ipswich finally won. All three of us won. Ipswich and Liverpool have both played today on Sunday when we're recording this. Both games were a draw. So if we can keep that consistency of all getting the same result, that would be a winner. Not 2-2, I don't think my heart could take it. Certainly not 3 penalties like the Ipswich game, bloody hell. Actually, let's have another controversial decision. That would be class.
Let's get that VAR.
Yeah, let's get someone on the microphone. I actually checked, and Arteta was twisted on the sideline, so I just gave a penalty to Newcastle. Cheers.
Absolutely.
It's battle of the twisty bastards on the touchline, isn't it, with Arteta and Tyndall?
Let's see who gets shushed first.
Fireworks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let us know in the comments below what you think. How do you think the game's going to go? What is your predictions? And if you're Arsenal fans watching this, how do you think it's going to go? Is this a cup you care about, or you've got bigger fish to fry? Let me know in the comments below. Obviously, as Newcastle fans, we absolutely think this is an important cup, and you should do as well. It's an important cup for anybody.
Carabao, man, what a drink!
Of course, other high caffeine energy drinks are also. I don't care. I don't work for the BBC. Drink whatever you want. While you're down there,
drink Carabao.
Don't drink Carabao. Just a piss. Apparently. While you're down there, you can hit the subscribe button. You can hit the notification bell to be notified when new videos become available. And if you want to go one step further, you can also become a member. It's $2.99 a month. That gets you early access to videos like this one, as well as exclusive content and access to podcasts throughout the season. You also get access to the Telegram group. And also, while you're down there, give her a thumbs up, give us some likes. We've been getting a lot of likes on these videos recently, so give her a nice big thumbs up. We had, I think, 65 likes on the last one. Let's see if we can break 100 for this one. We haven't got many days. It is Sunday that we're doing this, and there's only Tuesday that this has come out, so we haven't got many, but let's see if we can get 100 likes on this. So if you're watching this and you don't normally hit that thumbs up button on these videos, right, you do it. Takes no time at all. Just do it. Just go and hit the thumbs up.
I'll show you how to do a thumbs up.
We'll wait for you. We'll wait for you. You done it? Great. And if you're listening, I'm sorry about that. So just hit 5 stars on iTunes or on Spotify and do that instead. But no, thanks everybody for watching. Cheers, Daryl. Cheers, Andy. Yeah, this is an important game, this one. We need I'm going to say we need 3 points. There's no points in the Carabao Cup, but we need at least a draw, I think would be nice. But I think, Andy, you're right. A 1-0 deficit isn't too bad going to St. James's Park on that one, but I'm not taking it. I'm draw or nothing. Draw win for me. But we'll see you all in the next one. What's it next? FA Cup?
FA Cup, aye, Bromley.
It's not in my calendar. NUFC haven't added it to the calendar, so I don't know. It'll be Bromley next for the next preview, and always spell faces again on Monday. But we'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.